All right, on your screens, visuals coming in from Gujarat, where the Prime Minister earlier gave a speech. We'll be continuing to bring you visuals and we'll be covering further speeches that the Prime Minister gives. The Prime Minister right now on a roadshow taking place in Gujarat. We'll bring you more details. Earlier in the day, he spoke at a development conclave. We'd highlighted that for you. We'd highlighted as his speech spoke about themes that had been touched on, he says, that were introduced when he was the Chief Minister. The conclave he spoke at was one that was begun when he was Chief Minister of the state. It had begun as a one-time affair. That's what he touched on during his speech. He said that it became a regular conference of industry leaders, and that itself was a pointer to the economic development that Gujarat had seen. Visuals on your screen right now of the Prime Minister. I believe on his right is JP Nadda, the BJP chief, so we'll wait to confirm that with you in just a second. We'll bring you more details of the Prime Minister as he carries out the roadshows on your screen right now. Remember, it's been a busy few days. The Prime Minister yesterday and day before yesterday visited the pole-bound states of Madhya Pradesh, of Rajasthan. Now, as you can see, the Prime Minister speaking in Gujarat. He's speaking at a leadership forum. We'll bring you more details of the events that are taking place today that are planned for him here within Gujarat. You can also see right below the Prime Minister's cavalcade, thousands of workers that have gathered there. I'll wait, as I told you a little while earlier, to bring you more context. But this is the full context of why the Prime Minister is there. As we told you a little while earlier, he spoke at the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. That's where he gave a speech a little while earlier. As we told you, this was a summit that was started under the Prime Minister when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Now, his visit to Gujarat has been a two-day visit. It started yesterday. It's carrying on into today. He is, as we told you already, taking place in a program, and this program marks the completion of 20 years of the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit. Now, my colleague Payal is with us. Payal, we also know that the Prime Minister will be laying foundation stones of various projects across the state. Can you bring our audiences more context, not just on his schedule, but also what these projects are, please?
Well, these projects are going to do with education and technical education in particular, and how to associate the youth with the skill. That is something which the Prime Minister will be focusing today on. But the scenes have been witnessed in Gujarat from yesterday itself, when you saw people lining up the streets in Ahmedabad, where of course he was welcomed because this was his first visit in the historic passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. Today also the Prime Minister made a huge speech as far as Invest in Gujarat is concerned in that Vibrant Gujarat Summit, which the Prime Minister attended, and which of course now completes 20 years, and that was something which Narendra Modi set up as a precedent. So that's quite a thing to watch out for. It's going to be quite an incident to watch out for, given the fact that the Prime Minister is going to be here for 2 full days, which is his home state. This is where he belongs to. This is where he was the Chief Minister, one of the longest serving Chief Ministers across the country, and somebody who's continued his journey as the Prime Minister of the country. Somebody who's spoken about development, somebody who's spoken about Vikas, and somebody who's spoken about the development of all sectors, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and Sabka Vishwas, and Sabka Prayas. So, yeah.
All right, can you also tell our audiences now, Payal, if possible, about the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit that we heard the Prime Minister speaking at a little while earlier?
He actually made a very, very strong pitch, and he said that Gujarat has been the global destination for decades together. But there was no support that was actually received by the previous government. The Prime Minister has served as a Chief Minister, so he knows the nuances, how it works. So he clearly said that when he reached out to the central ministers in the UPA regime, they gave him no support. They only made empty promises, but they refused to come down to Gujarat and accept Gujarat as a global destination for investment. But he did not give up his fight. He did not give up his push for making Gujarat a global destination for investment. And that's why the journey of the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, which started in 2003, is continuing now in 2023 as well, Toya.
Payal, I also believe, because you were telling us a little while earlier about the kind of boost that classrooms across the state will get after the Prime Minister's inauguration takes place. I believe there are also water supply projects and flyover bridges that will get inaugurated. So infrastructure push also that we're seeing. Can you tell us more?
Well, the Prime Minister has always been saying, Toya, that there is no Vikas without, there is no Vishwas without Vikas. and Vikas is essentially development. So development is the key as far as infrastructure is concerned, not just in Gujarat, where you've seen state-of-the-art infrastructure come up, including the science city which the Prime Minister was visiting earlier today, but also the fact that this has been his push all around. You've seen what has been inaugurated in the national capital, where you have the Bharat Mandapam, which was the host for the G20 meeting, and also the Dwarka project, which was also inaugurated recently by the Prime Minister. These are state-of-the-art projects. These are projects that actually are looking at a technology adoption, probably in the next decade to come as well. Having these infrastructure facilities, these convention rooms which can house about 6 to 7,000 people. That's actually what Modi's been speaking about in terms of what Vikas actually means. And he says that you have to adopt technology, you have to adopt the fact that you have to look at 10, 20 years ahead and probably go ahead from there on.
All right. Payal, we'll continue to bring our audiences visuals of this event. Payal, if you could just stay with us, I'll continue to tell our audiences more about the visuals that they're seeing on their screen. And as our colleague Payal was telling us, the Prime Minister is in Gujarat. This is a 2-day visit. Today is the second of the 2 days. And this entire visit is largely focused on the Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit, as Payal was telling us, and a number of road shows that the Prime Minister is attending as an afterplay. Now, if you could just tell our audiences, please, Payal, when we take a look at all of these developments, at the same time, the IMD, and I'm talking about this to touch on the developmental aspect, has been talking about extremely heavy rainfall being expected in parts of Gujarat, and we've watched a BJP and opposition play this sort of blame game. So all of that is also going on in the background of the Prime Minister's visit when it comes to state politics. Can you bring us some context?
Well, of course, Gujarat has unfortunately suffered from, some natural calamity or the other all the time. But, the all hands on the deck approach has always obviously been there. But several parts of Gujarat have been impacted by flood, especially the Bharuch region, which has seen massive floods and destruction that's really happened. But the state government has said that they will continue to put in their efforts as well. So while the efforts are being put on, but, development push cannot be left behind. And development has to happen because people at the end of the day have to earn their livelihood and continue to earn their livelihood. That has been the push as far as the government is concerned. But Prime Minister Narendra Modi calling out the UPA regime today and said that, where were these people when we wanted development for Gujarat? I kept pushing for the development of Gujarat. I kept meeting central leaders who privately would tell me that they would come, but they would not show up for these summits as well. Now, these summits are happening all over the place. You've seen summits happen in Bengal. You've seen summits happen in various other states as well. You've seen chief ministers travel to other countries across the world, in a bid to bring in investment. So that is something which is, of course, a domain of every state as well. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi started this in 2003. His journey continues in 2023 because Gujarat is his home state and Gujarat has a lot of association. Now, a lot of Gujaratis work across the world, especially in the UK, in the US, in Africa, in several other places as well. And they do bring a lot of laurels to the country as well. So that's something which the Prime Minister has really invoked. Politics aside, development is something which the Prime Minister will continue to push, is what the BJP has been saying.
And he also spoke about how this summit really began, the idea that came up, Payal, 20 years ago when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. There were many that were not really on board with this kind of idea. They mocked it, is what the Prime Minister said. He also then spoke about how Gujarat was and will continue to be the growth engine of the entire country.
Yes, the Prime Minister takes a lot of pride, essentially when he speaks about Gujarat Poonam. He continues to say that the Gujarat story, the Gujarat journey, the Gujarat model is something which everybody should adopt. So when he started an idea like this 20 years ago, he was probably mocked, and that's what he mentioned, that when he reached out to the central ministers, during the UPA government, nobody really gave him support. They would just give him verbal communication, they would just give him verbal confirmations, but would not show up at the end of the day for the summits as well. But that's the journey that Gujarat has really seen. Gujarat has seen economic growth. Gujarat has seen growth in terms of what we see agriculturally also, and infrastructurally also. Gujarat has several state-of-the-art, colleges, universities, essentially, big buildings, big industrialists coming to Gujarat and investing in Gujarat. It was Narendra Modi's initiative that actually helped him back the Tata Nano project when Bengal had rejected the project after the outburst of the protest that we've seen. So obviously Gujarat's journey is something that the Prime Minister takes a lot of pride in, and rightly so, because that's the state that he came from.